What's going on, everyone? So, we got some very interesting news from Dave McMenamin that I don't really think adds up, but let's dive into it. Of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, it appears Zach Lavine's chances of ending up with the Los Angeles Lakers ahead of the NBA's February 8th trade deadline are slim to none. I'm told that's not happening. ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported of a potential Lavine to Los Angeles deal Wednesday on SportsCenter. Laker fans, if you're thinking about the UCLA Bruin coming back to the Los Angeles to help the team, don't count on it. So this part, okay, I can understand that. Many of you are aware, I'm Team Lavine. I like the idea of the Lakers going and getting Lavine, but the fact that it is unlikely, okay, I can buy that. But it's this part. You're looking at the Lakers surveying the market for point guard help. And one guy you can look at is certainly Tyus Jones with the Washington Wizards. Another guy you look to is Colin Sexton. This is the part that doesn't make sense. But first, Zach Lavine, this is now the second report. First one was Brian Windhorst, where he said 0% chance the Lakers trade for Zach Lavine. Look, when Brian Windhorst said 0% chance, kind of scoffed at that, right? 0%. I highly doubt it's 0%. Is it unlikely? Sure, right? Talking about a hefty contract in which can the Lakers get anything else? What is the cost? There's a lot of factors that go into Zach Lavine, which I completely understand. So if Brian Windhorst would have said it's unlikely, okay, I would have bought into it. But him saying it's 0% chance, so you're telling me like if Chicago called right now and was like, hey, we'll give you Zach Lavine because we really need to get off of his contract. We'll even throw in Alex Caruso and Andre Drummond and just give us like 2 pick swaps and match salary. Are you telling me the Lakers wouldn't do that, right? Or if you could just get him for essentially just salary swaps, you don't think the Lakers would do that? Pretty sure they would. If the answer is yes, then it's not 0%, right? Is it unlikely? That I buy. Again, that part of it doesn't really shock me in any way. But it's everything else, right? D'Lo has been solid this year, right? He's on an incredible stretch right now. This dude is killing it, right? He's playing like a guy that does not want to get traded by the Lakers. And look, I like Colin Sexton. I like Tyus Jones, but not over D'Angelo Russell. Neither of those guys are better than D'Angelo Russell. And so the only way I see that making sense is if, one, the Lakers are confident that they're going to lose D'Lo, right? Like they're like, hey, we want to get something more long-term, something more secure that's similar, right? So what are our options here? Maybe his value isn't super high, so you kind of take what you can get. But even then, like Colin Sexton, right? Tyus Jones, again, they're fine players, and I'm going to dive into both of these guys here in a minute, but to basically trade D'Lo to go get either of those guys just don't make sense. And what, are you going to give up assets to go get those guys? Right? Are they giving up assets to get D'Lo? Right? Like Tyus Jones for D'Angelo Russell, that like why that doesn't make sense for the Wizards. Right? I mean, they would have to give more than Tyus Jones salary-wise, but okay, so could you get, if you're the Lakers, could you get Tyus Jones and Daniel Gafford? Right? Okay, maybe you kind of lean towards that, but again, what else do you have to give up? Because you're not trading a first for those guys. The Lakers aren't trading Austin Reeves for Sexton or Tyus Jones. If the Lakers won't trade Austin Reeves for DeJounte Murray and Zach Lavine, then they're definitely not going to trade for Tyus Jones or Colin Sexton. Okay, Gabe Vincent, right? Maybe you go get Gabe Vincent, and because either of these guys in a backup role, that I am all for, right? If you could get either of those guys in a backup guard position, right? Oh, sign me up. Totally okay with that. But like Gabe Vincent doesn't make sense for Washington unless, again, you're giving up assets, but they're not going to want, 2 seconds to take on Gabe Vincent's contract? I just don't see that making sense for them. And then when you look at, Colin Sexton, maybe Danny Ainge would like to get off of Sexton's contract, right? Because they signed him on term. But again, you'd have to give more than Gabe Vincent, because Colin Sexton's making like 18, I think 18.5 million, something like that. So you're talking about like, okay, so you're gonna have to give Gabe Vincent and else and more, right? I don't see those teams wanting that, and I don't see that making sense. So to me, it's like either, again, Lakers are afraid they're going to lose D'Lo. B, the Lakers are going to get more than just those players, right? Again, maybe you get Colin Sexton and you're getting some other people like a Kelly Olynyk or something like that. But even then, like, what else are you giving up? Are you trading Rui and D'Lo for those guys? I just don't think that really makes a ton of sense. The other big thing, I guess, that could happen would be if the Lakers made a bigger trade, right? So, like, let's say the Lakers make a trade for, Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith, right? Like, let's say they go and they get some complementary pieces. Maybe they don't get DeJounte Murray. Maybe they don't get a Zach Lavine, right? Because Zach Lavine apparently is unlikely. So, let's say they just kind of go get some complementary pieces. They trade D'Lo and they need another point guard. Okay, maybe then that makes sense to go get a Tyus Jones, maybe go get a Colin Sexton, especially if you can get them on the cheap end, right? And it's like, okay, well, we need a playmaker, so let's go get one of those guys. Then maybe I could get on board with that. But again, it doesn't add up if you're basically just swapping D'Lo for something. So either there's more to it than that, or this is just kind of a smokescreen, right? Because the Lakers want DeJounte Murray, and it's like, okay, well, we're fine settling for a Colin Sexton or a Tyus Jones, right? It just, again, like, there wasn't a ton of detail, so it's kind of hard to know exactly what it is, right? But look, there's even reports that the Lakers aren't interested in trading Reeves or Rui, so they're only going to trade D'Lo. So if they're only looking to trade D'Lo, right? Again, why? You're in my opinion, you're going backwards. Colin Sexton may at one point become better than D'Lo, but he's nowhere close right now. And again, it doesn't really make sense to me. But if you're trying to go get other pieces, again, you trade D'Lo and you turn D'Lo into Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal, or, whatever. You go get a Charlotte trade or something, right? Whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, we need a secondary playmaker, or we need another just starting playmaker, because we traded Gabe Vincent, we traded D'Lo. Okay, cool. Go get Tyus Jones, go get Colin Sexton. I'm okay with that, right? But again, it just depends. But diving into the actual players, and we'll start with Colin Sexton, who, again, I like Colin Sexton, but again, to me, he's still a backup, right? He's also more of a two guard than he is a point guard. But the problem is he's undersized as a two guard because he's 6'3", 190 pounds. Right? And I mean, he's the young bull, right? So he's a lot of fun to watch. But people have concerns about D'Lo and Reeves' inconsistencies. Go watch Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton will have a game where you're like, this guy's the best player in the league. Oh my gosh. And then the next game, he's like, can we just retire him? Like, this guy is awful, right? You just want him off the court. He is like insanely inconsistent at times. He has gotten better, and I haven't looked into it this year, but last year, he had like the second worst plus minus in NBA history for a guy who was in his first 4 or 5 years. I think his first 5 years. He had like the worst plus minus in league, his second worst plus minus in league history. He's just very inconsistent. He hasn't been good. He hasn't been efficient. He hasn't been effective, right? Again, like one game he's great, one game he's terrible. And like, even if you look at like just on the surface, like percentages and stuff, right? You go through the numbers. It's like 1 year he's 40% from three. Next year he's 38% from three. Okay, that's good. 37%. And then he's 24%. And then he's 39%. And then this year he's 37%. Even from like field goal percentage, 43%, 47, 47, 45 has this huge drop off, right? 50%, 48.9%, right? Again, I like him. I think he's solid. And in 23 and a half minutes a game for Utah, he's averaging 17 points, 16.9 if you want to be exact, 4 assists, 2.5 rebounds, will be nice and rounded up to 1 steal and half a block, right? But he's also averaging 2 turnovers a game, or 1.8. So he's averaging 2 turnovers to 4 assists. He's not a great playmaker, right? He is shooting well this year, which would be nice, and that would be good, especially if he can continue to do that. But he's a guy that can get tunnel vision at times. Again, he's more of a 2 guard than he is a point guard, which is the problem. He is only 25 years old, which is good, right? So he's a guy that, you could keep and kind of have as like a project, and hopefully he develops into the type of player you want him to be. But the other thing is too, is like, he's one of the things that you would think, okay, Colin Sexton, but he's a good defender, right? Defensively, he's a good defender, right? He hasn't been this year. He's been terrible defensively this year. He's like 5 points worse than league average. And even like the advanced metrics and stuff, he's not a very good defender by any stretch of the imagination this year. All right, so he's not a good defender. He would give us athleticism and maybe some point of attack, right? And, you can maybe argue, okay, well, he'd be playing alongside Jared Vanderbilt. He'd be playing alongside Anthony Davis, right? Get some good athleticism. Maybe you could kind of have him. Plus, if you have him in a backup role, he could be a nice spark plug off the bench for you, right? So I do think that there is value in going and getting a guy like a Colin Sexton. But again, it just depends on what it is. I'm not trading D'Lo for Colin Sexton. He's just not as good. He's smaller. D'Lo's been a better defender this season. And I like him, but I don't like him more than I like D'Lo, right? Maybe you could argue long-term, he makes sense, because you could do just a D'Lo for Sexton swap. Boom, and it's done. And Utah may do something like that just to kind of get off the long-term salary of Sexton. But again, that doesn't make sense for the Lakers. It doesn't at all. Unless there's like I said, a multi-team deal, you're getting other pieces, something like that, then maybe. But again, it doesn't make sense for the Colin Sexton part. But let's move on to Tyus Jones. Now, I really like Tyus Jones. I think he is a more safer, consistent bet. Like, you kind of know what you're going to get from Tyus Jones. However, I don't really like him as like a starting point guard. I think in the right situation he could, but to me, he's not the guy I'd want to hand the keys over right now. To me, as a backup, I think he'd be one of the best backup, if not the best backup point guards in the league. Right? He's a little undersized at 6'1", 196 pounds, but this is a guy that you can trust to handle and operate and run the offense. He's going to take care of the basketball. Right? This is a guy that has incredible assist to turnover ratio. Right? So this season, we'll use this season for example, he's averaging 5.6 assists, and he's not even averaging 1 turnover. He's averaging 0.8. So not even 1 full turnover. Incredible assist turnover ratio. He would take care of the basketball. Right? He's steady. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need some stability, some consistency, which is a big problem for the Lakers. But I'd really like him in a backup role. I'd really like him kind of in a serviceable, like, hey, give him 25 minutes a game to kind of operate, maybe 20 minutes a game in a backup role. You could play him alongside whoever else, kind of let LeBron maybe run point to start the game. Although, he could play off ball. He's shooting 42% from 3 this season on almost 4 attempts per game. So if that continues, then, you can kind of have him kind of be your initiator, playmaker. And he's a guy that can definitely run the offense. But again, I just kind of like him more personally in a backup role. This season, he's averaging just a hair under 13 points, 12.8 points per game. As I mentioned, 5.6 assists, 1.2 steals, and 3 rebounds per game. He is shooting abysmal 73% from the free throw line. He is a career 81% free throw shooter, but he doesn't take a bunch. He averages less than 1 a game. So maybe that's not going to be an issue this season. He is shooting 58.2% from the field on 6.2 attempts. As I mentioned, 42% from 3. He has an EFG of 60%, which is incredible. So again, a guy that is very efficient, very effective, could provide some level of consistency, which you need. The Lakers especially really need some consistency. But again, are you trading any of these guys to go and get? Are you trading any of these guys for D'Lo? All right, and Tyus Jones again hasn't been great defensively. He's getting steals, but he actually has a worse defensive rating than Colin Sexton by like a landslide. He has a 122.5 defensive rating. League average this year is 16.5, which is worse by like 1.5 than last season, which was 115. And he's still like 6 points worse. So, you know, but and a lot of that is just because he's 6'1", right? But is he the athletic type of point guard that you really need? Like Colin Sexton, I guess, makes some sense because at least he's an athlete, get out in transition, kind of, you know, get ahead of steam, right? He is called the young bull for a reason, but I don't know. Something's not adding up, right? Maybe when all is said and done, maybe it will have that like, oh, okay, now I get it, right? Maybe, again, like the Lakers make several moves, end up getting several pieces, and it's like, okay, well, the Lakers need a playmaker. They need a point guard, right? They need another guard. And it's like, okay, well, oh, they just landed Colin Sexton. Okay, there it is. Or they just landed Tyus Jones. There it is. Right? Something along those lines. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How do you feel about the report? Would you like any of these guys? Do you think any of these guys make sense for the Lakers? Now, again, if you can trade Gabe Vincent for either of these guys, then go for it, right? But realistically, I don't think that that's going to happen. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.